Okay, so let's finish up the epidermis. The stratum basale that we just covered was right here, the deepest layer of the epidermis, and there was quite a bit going on there. The next layers are, as we're moving up, the stratum spinosum, the stratum granulosum here, the stratum lucidum, and then the stratum corneum. So we're going to go up from the stratum basale. So the next layer up is called the stratum spinosum, sometimes referred to as the spiny layer, because if you look, some of the cells start to look like they have points. These cells are also sometimes called prickle cells. So it's variable in thickness, the stratum spinosum. It's thin in some areas and thicker in other areas. It goes up to 8 to 10 layers of cells. There is still cell division going on. There was a lot going on in the stratum basale, and there's still cell division going on here, but it slows down. And in this layer also are your first cells that have immune function, and they're actually called epidermal dendritic cells or Langerhans cells. The same guy who found the islets of Langerhans and the pancreas named these. They have some kind of defense function. So if you imagine that something actually made it into the epidermis, some kind of pathogen, then these guys might be able to whoop up on it. Notice you don't have any like actual cellular protection, more superficial to that. Okay, also in that layer is our third type of skin cancer. So we have done basal cell carcinoma and we have done melanoma. And this one is called squamous cell carcinoma, not because the cells look squamous yet, but eventually they will. And what happens here is it starts out relatively scaly and red, and it's kind of intermediate in the likelihood of metastasis between melanoma, which is really, really risky for metastasis, and basal cell carcinoma, which is not as risky. This one is sort of intermediate between the two. It kind of looks like you pulled a scab off too soon and it never really healed. And then in the later stages, it actually looks like this. And a lot of times on the scalp, the ears, the lips, the back of the hands, places where you don't tend to remember to put sunscreen and you don't really wear makeup. So that is called squamous cell carcinoma. Okay, so moving up from there, this layer that looks dark, and you can see it looking dark here as well. This is called the stratum granulosum, as in the granular layer, because the cells really look like they have a grainy appearance, because at this point in these cells, what's happening is protein synthesis starting to form ultimately what will be keratin. Right now it's keratohyalin, and keratohyalin stains, the little vacuoles stain, and so it looks like it has a grainy, a dark appearance. So it gives the cells that granular look. And then we move up, and if you are in thick skin, then you will have a little layer in which the cells are no longer really pigmented. They are clear, and this is called the stratum lucidum. Now, the stratum lucidum, you can't really identify it in thin skin, but you can identify it in thick skin. So lucid means clear. So that's the stratum lucidum. And then above that, pretty much you just have bags of dead cells that are filled with keratin. And that layer on the top is called the stratum corneum. It's just dead keratinocytes that can be exfoliated or sloughed off. It can be up to 20 to 30 layers of cells thick in thick skin. In thick skin, it can make up about 3/4 of the thickness of the epidermis. It's still going to be thinner than the dermis, even in the thickest skin, though. And these cells will slough off. Remember that when they were made together all the way down here in the stratum basale, they were stuck together with desmosomes. So as they move up, not all of the desmosomes break. And so they slough off, but not as individual cells, a lot of times in sheets of cells. So if your skin is dry and scratch it, you can see the skin cells sloughing off because you're not seeing an individual microscopic cell, you're seeing a sheet of cells. Or if you damage them all at once, like with the sunburn, the desmosomes didn't have any time to break, and by the time they get moved up, which will happen rapidly because of the damage, they will slough off in a whole big sheet. So you should be able to, with that in mind, label, let's see, on this figure, you should be able to label the epidermis and the dermis, and then you can't see all of the layers, but you can definitely see the stratum basale and the stratum corneum, right? And then this would be the pigmented layer right there, which would be the stratum granulosum. So it's not a super great picture, but it gives you something to label. Okay, so after that, we will be moving away from the epidermis into the dermis. So I will put that in the next video.